प्यारा विद्यार्थी भाइ बहिनीहरू, तपाईहरुलाई सहयोग पुर्याउने उद्देश्यले म आज इंग्लिश टिचर राजेश्वर पण्डितलाई लिएर आएको छु। तपाईहरुलाई यहाँले गाइड गर्नुहुनेछ। यो भिडियोलाई पुरै अवश्य हेर्नुहोला।
विद्यार्थीहरूलाई शैक्षिक सहयोग गर्ने उद्देश्यले बनाइएको यो हो युट्युब च्यानल बिन्दालाल सर।
स्वागत छ भाइ बहिनीहरू हाम्रो एससी को इंग्लिश क्लास हैन। हामीहरुसँग त एसएलसी को लागि चाहिँ हैन 11 वटा ग्रामर को आइटमहरु छ अनि प्रत्येक युनिटबाट ग्रामर को आइटमबाट एक एक मार्क चाहिँ आउने गर्छ, जसमध्ये सबभन्दा हैन एकदम चिप सबभन्दा सिम्पल र साधारण चाहिँ के हो भने कन्डिशनल सेन्टेन्स हो। यसमा हामीहरुले बढी चाहिँ माइन्ड यसमा खर्च गर्नुपर्ने छैन। यसमा सिम्पल ट्रिक लगाएर हामीहरु चाहिँ कन्डिशनल सेन्टेन्सलाई चाहिँ सोल्भ गर्न सकिन्छ। यसमा केही जटिल यस्तो छैन। त्यसै कारणले ल अब चाहिँ हामी आफ्नो क्लास तर्फ हैन कन्डिशनल सेन्टेन्स तर्फ लगाऊ। के हो म एउटा सानो ट्रिक देखाउनु भन्दा अगाडि म चाहिँ आफ्नो नाम हैन भन्न चाहन्छु। मेरो नाम चाहिँ राजेश्वर पण्डित हो। म चाहिँ श्री शारदा माविको इंग्लिश टिचर हो। ल conditional sentence. Let's talk about conditional sentence. It's not necessary to define conditional sentence for our SC students. That's why I want to only describe out how to get 1 mark from this unit. We have some basic needs how to solve conditional sentence for 1 mark in SC examination. Look, this sentence is divided into 2 parts. The first parts of the sentence, which starts with if clause, it simply define it if clause and it is separated by a comma. Another way, we have to write subject, verb, object. It is known as main clause, and we write a simple example like if you boil water, it changes into vapor. Look, we write this sentence into 2 ways. If we write if clause at the beginning of sentence, it is called if sentence. After that, we have to put a comma and we write main clause. We also write this sentence in another way. First, we have to write main clause like it changes vapor. If we write main clause at the beginning of sentence, we don't put comma, and we continue if sentence or if clause after main clause. It means it is not, or we should not write comma here. We continue if clause after main clause. If you boil water. We simply talk about conditional sentence. Let's go through its detail. Now we are going to discuss about types of conditional sentence. Type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3. Let's talk about 0 type. In zero type, we always talk about universal truth, scientific explanation. A plus subject plus V1, V5 plus object. This is the structure of zero type, or we simply tell it if clause while explaining or giving examples. We should put comma, subject plus V1, V5 plus object. If clause is in simple present tense, main clause in also simple present tense in type 0. It means type 0 we also write if clause in simple present tense, whereas in main clause we write simple present tense. It means in type clause both sentence, the sentence which is separated by comma is also written in simple present tense. Talk about examples like if you drop wood into water, if you drop wood into water, it floats on it. It means if clause is also simple present tense, whereas main clause is also in simple present tense. Look, if subject V1 object. Now let's talk about in main clause. There is also written a comma, subject V5 object. We can write this sentence in another way if we want to, or if we don't want to mention comma here, we write this sentence in another way, subject plus V1 V5 plus object. This is the structure of also zero conditions. Continue, if plus subject plus V1 V5 plus object. Look, in the first sentence, the sentence starts with if clause and ends with main clause, whereas in the second sentence, the sentence starts with main clause and ends with if clause. Look, we write this example in another way. We mention first at the, or we mention main clause at the beginning of sentence in this way. It floats on it. It means on, it means what? Water. If you drop wood into waters, we write this sentence in two ways. In SE exam, the sentence sometimes also starts with also if clause and ends with main clause. Sometimes the sentence also starts with main clause and ends with first if clause. This is the example of zero type. Okay, let's talk about type 1. Type 1 also starts with if clause, at the beginning of sentence. Let's talk about the structure of type 1. If plus subject plus V1, V5 plus object. Subject plus shall, will plus V1 plus object. In type 1, the sentence which starts with if clause is also simple present tense and ends with subject plus shall, will, V1 plus object. It means simple present tense. We also clarify it in this way. Type 1, the sentence type 1 if clause is in simple present tense, whereas main clause is in simple future tense. Look, we write a simple example here. If you ate rice, you will be fat. If you eat a lot rice, if you eat a lot rice, you will be fat. We also write this sentence in this way. We should write main clause at the beginning of sentence, subject plus shall, will, V1 plus object. We should write here E plus subject plus V1, V5 plus object. Okay, we write this example in another way. According to this example, there is written here main clause at the beginning of sentence, so we have to write main clause here. According to this example, you will be fat. After that, we don't mention or don't put here comma because of the sentence, because of this is the main clause. If you ate a lot rice, we write in this way. Okay, it comes in your examination or AC, either in AC or 9 class. In this, sometimes this sentence is also asked in this way. If you do hard labor, if you do hard labor, you okay, look, in our exam, either in AC or in 9 class or BLE, sometimes the sentence is asked in this way. If you do hard labor, sometimes in the beginning of sentence, the sentence starts with if clause, and there is also vacant in main clause. You dot good marks in exam. And how do you put correct verb in blank space? First, we have to evaluate which type it. We have to select the sentence, the type of conditional sentence. First, we have to find out it. If clause is simple present and there is also written blank space, we have to find out when if clause is simple present, we have to find out where should will. It means we write here will get good marks. Why? This is why if clause is simple present tense, therefore we have to find it main clause is in simple future, you will get good marks in exam. We should sometimes this question is also asked in this way, you get look, sometimes this question is also asked in this way, and there is also given here alternative here, get, will get, got. कहिलेकाहीँ यस्तो पनि क्वेसन सोधिन्छ, कहिलेकाहीँ मेन क्लज सबभन्दा सुरुमा लेखिन्छ र इफ क्लज लास्टमा लेखिन्छ एन्ड तल अल्टरनेटिभहरू दिएको हुन्छ। त्यो अल्टरनेटिभबाट हामीहरूलाई हैन पहिला बुझ्ने इफ क्लज कुन टेन्समा छ। यदि सिम्पल प्रेजेन्ट टेन्समा छ भने 100% आउँछ त्यो मेन क्लज, सिम्पल फ्युचरमा आउँछ जी हैन। कहिलेकाहीँ इम्परेटिभ सेन्टेन्सबाट सुरु हुन्छ, त्यसको लागि छोड्ने, त्यो त्यति हाम्रो लागि त्यति हैन नेसेसरी, इट इज नट नेसेसरी फर अस, सो दैट वी हैव टू फाइन्ड आउट। यहाँ हेर्ने है, यदि मेन क्लज सुरुमा आइसकेको छ भने लास्टमा इफ क्लज आइसकेको छ भने इफ क्लजलाई फाइन्ड आउट गर्ने कुन सेन्टेन्समा दिएको छ हैन, के रे कुन टेन्समा दिएको छ। यहाँ यो क्लज कुन टेन्समा दिएको छ, सिम्पल प्रेजेन्ट टेन्समा दिएको छ। यदि सिम्पल प्रेजेन्टमा दिएको छ भने त्यो मेन क्लजलाई हामी कहाँ राख्नुपर्छ भने सिम्पल फ्युचर टेन्समा राख्नुपर्छ। We have to find out good alternative or correct alternative from the bracket here. Look, will get. So we have to write here will get good marks. You will get good marks in exam if you do hard labor. Okay, let's we talk about type 2 of conditional sentence. Look, a structure of a structure A plus subject plus V2 plus object, subject plus would could V1 plus object. Look, in type 2 if clause is in simple past tense, whereas main clause in subject plus would could plus V1 plus object. Look, we write here example, if you were a bird, I would fly in the sky. We write another example, if I were a word, if I were a head of any head man of any village, I would solve any problem of that village. We may write many sentences on the basis of these structures. We write this sentence in another way, like we have to write main clause here at first subject plus would, could, V1 plus object plus E plus subject plus V2 plus object. Look, have you heard about unreal past tense? Unreal past tense को बारे में सुने होला? यही हो. Look, this is the condition. यहाँ सुने. वेयर लागेको छ. यसलाई हामी unreal past tense भनिन्छ. यहाँ सुने है. जस्तै subject plus would, could plus V1 plus object, subject plus E plus subject plus V2 plus object. यो सेन्टेन्सलाई हामी यसरी लेख्न सकिन्छौँ. If you were a bird, हैन, यो I हुँदैन है. You would fly in the sky. Next, we write the sentence in this way. If you would fly in the sky if you were a bird. Sometimes this sentence is also asked in SE exam like in this way. If I were a bird, and there is also written here blank space, and there is mention here, solve, would solve, solved. अल्टरनेटिभ पनि दिएको हुन्छ. त्यो अल्टरनेटिभबाट हामी करेक्ट जुन ब्ल्याङ्क स्पेसमा छ करेक्ट वर्डलाई राख्नुपर्छ. जस्तै इफ आई वर हेड अफ एनी भिलेज, यदि म कुनै गाउँको प्रमुख व्यक्ति भयो भने, प्रमुख मानिस भयो भने, आई डट एनी प्रब्लम अफ दैट भिलेज. यहाँ दिएको छ, यहाँ सुने. आई यही कन्डिसन हो. आईले वेयर लिन्छ, नत्र अन्य ठाउँमा आईले वाज लिन्छ. त्यसैले यो कन्डिसनलाई के भनिन्छ? अनरियल पास्ट टेन्स भनिन्छ. यहाँ सुन है. अब यदि इफ क्लज सिम्पल पास्ट टेन्समा दिएको छ भने मेन क्लजमा के हुन्छ? त्यसको स्ट्रक्चर सब्जेक्ट प्लस वुड, कुड प्लस V1 प्लस अब्जेक्ट. जब यहाँ इफ क्लज सिम्पल पास्ट टेन्समा दिएको छ भने हामीले मेन क्लजमा के खोज्नु पर्छ भने वुड प्लस V1 खोज्ने. यहाँ जस्तै छ सोल्भ छ, यो त अगाडि नै क्यान्सल भइहाल्यो. वुड सोल्भ छ अकॉर्डिंग टू स्ट्रक्चर, हैन. मेन क्लज केमा हुनु पर्यो? यदि इफ क्लज इज सिम्पल पास्ट टेन्स, whereas main clause is subject plus would, could plus V1 plus object. So we have to write here would solve any problem of that village. If I were a head man of any village, I would solve any problem of that village. We may write or we make many sentences on the basis of this structure. Okay, let's talk about type 3. It means conditional sentence of type 3. Type 3 Okay, let's talk about type 3. If clause subject plus had plus V3. It means if clause is past perfect tense. If clause is in past perfect tense, we should write main clause subject plus would, could, have plus V3 plus object. As for example, if you had earned a lot money, you would have bought a well facilitated home. Look, if clause in past perfect tense, if plus subject plus had plus V3 plus object, if plus subject plus had plus V3 plus objects. Whereas main clause subject plus would, could, have plus V3, you would have bought a well facilitated home. We write this sentence another way: subject plus would, could, have V3 plus object plus a plus subject plus had plus V3 plus objects. Look, it means in type 3 sometimes we should also write here main clause at the beginning of sentence, after that if clause at the end of sentence. Look, we write this example in another way. According to this structure, you would have bought a well facilitated home if you had earned a lot money. We should write this sentence in this way. In our AC exam, sometimes it also comes from 0 type, type 1, type 2 or type 3. It carry 1 marks for our AC exam, so that we have to better command of this unit. Thank you very much for listening to me so fast, patiently and enthusiastically.
विद्यार्थीहरूलाई शैक्षिक सहयोग गर्ने उद्देश्यले बनाइएको यो हो युट्युब च्यानल बिन्दालाल सर। कृपया सब्स्क्राइब गर्नुहोला।